Okay, so this today's seminar is about admission decisions. For American boarding high schools, admission decisions just came out 2 days ago on March 10th. So I mean, not every school, but most of the school decisions came out on March 10th. So and today is while the topic is fresh, we'll go over and discuss what are the things to do. So a quick intro about myself. My name is Ray. I've been doing overseas education, in particular boarding, American boarding school education. We also do a little Switzerland, Canada, UK boarding schools, but predominantly over 90% of our students are applying to American boarding schools, some junior boarding schools, some high schools, but mostly senior schools, high schools for America. So been doing this for 16 years. Visited many schools, seen many students, and my oldest student have gone on, come out to work, and actually some of them also work in the same industry as consultants. So I guess they really enjoy their experience in boarding schools. And Sesameed Education, we're in Singapore, but although we work with students from all over the world in different time zones. So first is March 10th is not the end, right? A lot of times we think, oh, we spend so much time working and so much energy working and trying to get our offer. And when we get our offer finally, right, on March 10th, we are done with the project. Actually, you have a lot of things to do. Hopefully good things, happy problems after March 10th. So the admission, and if you're not applying this year, this will be a preview for you, right? So admission decisions come out on March 10th, but after the decision, there's still a lot of communications between the family and the schools, and actually your communication will be more because it's not limited to schools or mission office. You will communicate with the other office. You will communicate with the alums, right? You will get revisit, and then if you get waitlist, you have to have a waitlist strategy and think about all this. So these are the things that we'll discuss today because every single decision is very important. So March 10th, or in that matter, in any school application, you have three possible outcome. One is deny, clear, right? One is admit, clear. One is waitlist, right? So this is something quite unique to the secondary school, the waitlist dynamic. Which we'll talk a little bit more later. And depending on what your initial outcome is, your strategy will be different. Okay, so first talk about the most easy thing. You are denying. What does that mean? Um, so I have a mom calling me on March 10th and said my son is crying. And she's like, I never seen him cry. Like not even when she was lost a game, sports game, not even when he got injured and fractured his bone, he didn't cry. And on March 10th, he cried. Now, this student was admitted to a school. In fact, he was admitted to one of his top five choices. But he was upset because he wasn't admitted to his top one choice. But his friend was. It could be a stressful time. Um, but I just want to tell everybody in case you have applied already this year and you have received your first batch of results already. Although it's a personal decision, but if you can, try not to take it personally because in at least in boarding school admission, there's no strict academic ranking. It's not like okay, you get one more point in the SSAT, therefore you rank before someone. No, it's holistic. And also holistic and also subjective in a sense, right? There's like luck issue in it. Did you have good chemistry with the interviewer, right? Were you having a good day? So for example, right, I just heard a story from a fellow consultant, not my student, but that student got into one of the big name, like one of the Philips, right? And he got into that because he happened to enjoy very much one of the books that the interviewer enjoy. So basically, the tip you can imagine, right? Typical interview just lasts 20 minutes, and that student just talking about that one book that they enjoy commonly took 20 minutes already. So, and his entire interview was 40 minutes. So, so there's some, but what is the likelihood or chances that you will read the same book that your interviewer also reading, right? So that's luck, right? And also class composition, right? Maybe, for example, one of our students, he couldn't make it to one of the schools because last year that school over enroll their grade 9. So this year for grade 10, they have very few spots. So he couldn't get into his dream school, right? That's not something that you can control as a student. So therefore, I just want to say, if you don't get admitted into a school, doesn't mean that your future is finished. Doesn't mean that you're not good. There's many factors play into it. And I think at this time, the student that get rejected is the one that we need to pay attention to and care about the most. Every year when we schedule meetings, right? As you imagine, everybody get results and they want to review and talk together, right? So we have back-to-back meetings, and we always try to schedule the ones that get more rejections first, right? So we want to make sure the student is okay and the family is okay. Yeah. So that's what I try to say on this very important topic. So also, right, the admission decisions are contextual. Um, if you are a boy, then you are in the boys group. If you're a girl, you're in a girls group, right? If you're grade 9, grade 10, they're all different pools. So and especially geography, right? So they have a fixed number, not fixed, but semi-fixed, not very fixed, but like 80% fixed quota of for Singapore, where I am, right? For China, Greater China, for UK, for India, right? So they have like expectation that how much they enroll and admit from each part of the world, and also they have programs they need to fulfill, right? They need good tennis player, but also good field hockey player. They need good violin player. Right. So in fact, one of the students, when we are talking about admission to with the schools, right? One of the questions that school asks at the last round, right, after they read the application, so the school told us, okay, this student is good in an instrument, but how good is the student, right? So it gets to that specific. Maybe like, some of the instruments like oboe, trumpet, like you don't get that many. So if you graduate one, you really hope to fulfill another one, right? So again, try to do your best, but don't take it personally. All right. And that's something that we haven't discussed much, right? And this is a very interesting case study that we had this year, where a student admitted to one of the big name schools, the top 10, right? The ones that everybody wants to go to. So she was admitted to that, but she didn't know that until a few hours later. What happened was she applied to a few schools, around 10 schools. And on March 10, if you know, the school's decisions come out at different times. So it so happened that the school, one of the first, I think it was the second one that came out for her in the morning of March 10th, was one of her lower rank schools, a school that she, putting as the safety school. And the school rejected her, actually not rejected, but waitlisted. So the school waitlisted her, and she was so scared. And she called me right away. She was like, "How do I get waitlisted by my lower rank schools? And then if I'm rejected or waitlisted, then how am I gonna get in the other schools?" Only a few hours later, she get the biggest happiness present, right? She get into her dream school, literally her dream school for the past 2 years. She got into the school. So how is that possible? It happened quite a lot. Like with if you think about like the whole boarding school game, US boarding school, like with the mid-range schools, like your top 30, top 40, top 50 schools, right? For them, they care quite a bit about you, as in like they understand they are not the top choice for the super talented schools for the genius, right? Maybe they want to go to Andover, Exeter, or Groton or whatever, right? So they understand they are the safety school for some students. And if they only admit the most talented student in their application pool, maybe ended up a lot of the student will get admitted in other bigger name schools and they will not yield, right? It will be a lot of work, a lot of opportunity waste, right? And then they ended up not attracting the student that will truly come to them. So that's why for the mid-range school, there's very good schools, but they are not like the top 10 big names. They will really think about, is this kid coming? In a sense that, of course, if you have a consultant like us, right, then we can discuss and say, hey, maybe this kid has other admits, maybe he's not coming, right? Or if you don't, then the school can only guess uh, how likely it is that you'll be coming. So in this case, it was quite clear that because as consultants, we knew that she has a few other offers already. So we'll be able to communicate the school honestly that you know what maybe for this student she will have options, so that's why ended up the school waitlisted her. Not to say that it will happen to every student in every school. We do have another student who had many admits this year because some of the student, even though it was his safety schools, the schools love him so much. It's like, you know what, I'm just gonna give him the offer and the recognition. If he's not coming, then he's not coming, but if he's coming, then at least I have a chance, although I know the likelihood is low, but I still want to try. So yeah. So but I'm saying this is a long story. But basically, I'm saying this is don't take a waitlist or a rejection as a denial on your qualities and your potentials, because hey, maybe the good news is around the corner. And I'm gonna go faster in the first half of it because the first half is more straightforward. Most people want to listen to and understand the wait list, but I'm going to talk about the deny and the admit first, okay? So the admit, you have a happy problem. Congratulations. So now I think if you have not already seen it, or if you apply next year, you can expect it. For so many months, you've been begging and hoping and praying and wishing that your dream school would take you, right? And if you're so lucky to be admitted by multiple schools, this is your time. The table is turned, right? Now they are seeking your attention. They are sending out all the bells and whistles to attract your attention and hoping that you will go to their school. So, it's fun time. Um, and now the family is in the choosing position, and that remind me of something else. Right? Sometimes, right, the family before we start the application, we always do the school selection discussion with the families, and they always like, oh, this school is too sporty, this school is too academic, this school is too far from the city, this school is too close to the city. No school is perfect, but they worry so much when they're doing school selection. And I always remind them, okay, you are not in the position to choose and pick until you get the offer. So try to get work on the schools that you will more likely to get the offer, although it's not a perfect school, right? And no school is perfect in that sense. So just something that reminds me of something that I always tell the students, right? So before March 10th, you are seeking, you're not choosing. After March 10th, the schools are seeking, you are choosing. Okay, so fun time. Um, what they will do, right? So some of them they will send you welcome package. That's very fun because like for example, I have a student I think on March 9th, he already received an email and saying that Exeter is sending you a package. So he's like, huh, okay, I kind of know, right? Although the package didn't come until today. So, so welcome package is definitely very fun. Some school even send like a little box, not just a package. They send you like a whole box of little goodies. Yeah. So, personal video. Sometimes some school have coaches, interviewers, or students sending you videos and say, "Hey, congratulations!" Right, personal videos. I think that's very heartwarming as well. Some school even reach out to offer like Zoom calls with their current students and their teachers. The if the student have a notice sports board, sometimes the coach also are very active in reaching out and congratulating them, wanting to tell them more about the team, because the schools know for student athletes choosing a school, the sports team is a very good important part of it. And student and alum connections, right? So I think as early as this weekend, we already some students they already receive alumni dinner invitations this weekend. I think one in Hong Kong, one in Singapore, one in California. So this is where the school really mobilized their local network. And sometimes they even sending the admission officers. So one of the schools I think is coming next week. One of the top 10 school coming next week to host an alumni dinner. So maybe not admission people coming. Sometimes they have the headmaster, sometimes they have the advancement, and so it's kind of serve dual purpose, right? One is to kind of motivate the alumni to be more actively engaged in the community. The other one is to also impress the newly admitted families and hoping to convert them and yield them and get them to come. So yeah, watch out for those emails. Oh, actually, and just a small notice for some families that already applied this year. Those emails, they don't always come from the admission office. They can just come from a stranger, right? Because if, let's say Loomis, right? If they have an alum, let's say the mom is last name is Brown, right? So Mrs. Brown will send out an email that they will get the email list from the admission officer say, oh, these are the 5 kids that we admitted in your area, right? So Mrs. Brown will send out the email to these 5 families, not coming from the admission office. So just yeah, something that you watch out for. Maybe a random email from strangers inviting you to dinner is actually legitimate. Okay. So the next thing, the big thing, actually, I would argue that if you're choosing in between different schools, the most important thing to do will be the revisit date, because that's really how you emerge into a whole day, or in some cases even 2 days. You have overnight as well in the campus to experience. So it usually happen late March. I think like for this year, some school as early as like March 27, mostly March 30th and March 1st that week, and lasting all the way up to April 7, April 10 for some later ones, because they are expecting you to make the decision and get back to them no later than April 10. Some schools occasionally April 15, mostly late April 10. So that's why in that last week leading up to the deadline, they want to do the most to impress you. So on the visit day, they will have class shadowing. Like okay, so depending on the school, some school the parents just drop off the kid and they go have a casual tea or walk around the town with other parents, or they just go off on their own, and the student do the shadow. And some school they have like dual program, like the kid do one program, the parents do one program. So depending on the school, you know the exact program. And then some school offer overnight in the dorm. I think nowadays most schools don't, like maybe 10% of the school ask you to do overnight. I mean, that's very fun, right? And also to to make some friends ahead of time. And dining hall, okay. All the dining halls and the schools, they put out the best food this day. So don't be fooled. Usually the food is not this good, but the food are not horrible. But like just if you see all the fancy salmon and seafood or whatever, it only happens on revisit day. It's not every day. But yeah, but they really try and give you all the fancy dessert and all that. Sometimes they have performances by their music team or whatever. So they really make you feel welcome, like try to put up like a five-star hotel vibe. Yeah, so then you get to talk to your coach, your faculty, your teachers, whatever subject or sports and activities that you're interested in. Yeah. So yeah, because a lot of times, right, when you visit campus before March 10 during your interview, you are nervous. First is the first time you go to a campus. Second is you constantly think that you're under evaluation, so you don't get to fully enjoy the process. But now you admit it, right? Unless you get an F in your report card next term. Otherwise, I don't think there's too many reasons why they will pull the offer. Oh, okay. So you do need to get a reasonable grade. So if you read the contracts carefully, all the offers are conditional. Although you can offer, the offers are conditional. So if you do not complete your intended course of study, if you do not complete your current grade, you might get the offer taken back. They might rescind the offer. Okay. But it has not happened, to be honest, to any of our students in my 16 years of professional life. But it is a conditional offer. I did have one student who was very close in getting into that kind of trouble, but good that we pulled him out in the last minute. Okay, so that was a side topic. So if you are so happy that all your mates are in your favorite schools and you don't need to worry about the waitlist, then that's good. But reality, right? In reality, less than 50% of the students are admitted to their first choice schools. Okay, let's put it this way. Less than 50%, I'm talking to our students, right? A student that have prepared well, working with a professional consultant, put up the best game already, right? Still, even then, they less than 50% of them will be admitted by their first choice school exactly, right? You might be admitted to second choice or like the other kid, he admitted in the top five choice, right? So still very respectable result, but that makes things a little complicated, right? Because let's say if you're admitted by your fifth choice school, but there are four more that you're really liking, right? And let's say they waitlisted you, then what do you do? And I think that's the most important question. So that's why the situation of the admit plus the waitlist will be the more complicated one that we will need to discuss in more details today. So first you need to know timelines, right? So we kind of touch upon a little bit. So March 10th, the decision come out, and late March, early April is the revisit day, revisit season, and the April 10th is your reply deadline. Try not cut it so close, right? So what if that is a bank holiday? You're not able to transmit the deposit, right? So try to give yourself like a few days time to get the documents, the signature, the contract and all deposit all sorted. Okay, so but that's the general timeline, and then the movement typically happen after April 10, typically, but it could, oh, actually, let me go back. It could happen a little bit earlier. So for example, right, this week and next week, most schools are on spring break, and the admission office, trust me, they're not going to do work. You know why? They have worked so hard all year long. Finally, now they have sent out all the offers, and finally they can breathe and take a break, right? So they will be on holiday. They will not want to look at their emails. So don't worry about it. Sometimes, actually, I have questions from my students as well, right? They are very anxious. Oh, so should I press the waitlist yes button? Yes, if you're sure you can press, right? Do I need to reject the offer if I'm not going, right? Yes, you can do it, but it's not going to change the game in the first 2 weeks because people are on holiday. The schools are not open. So you can take your time up until the end of this week or the middle of next week to take your actions because you can assume safely most schools are on holidays. So no major movement is gonna happen. Now, of course, some students they can decide very fast. So for example, I have a student this year was only admitted by the first choice school plus number eight. Okay, everything in the middle was a waitlist. Then it was a very easy decision for him, right? Because he can just enroll in the first choice schools and everything else waitlist, no need to wait, and the other offer he can decline, right? So for some students, very straightforward. Then some of them they decline the offer very fast. So what if this kid then he declined all his other offers? Then there will be a trickle down effect, right? So all the other kids will be pulled off the wait list. So that's why as soon as people come back from spring break, so that's like the middle of next week or end of next week, so there could be early movement coming up. But that's the exceptional case. Majority of the people they will make that decision after revisit day, or they'll make the decision near the deadline. That's human nature, right? So even people holding multiple offers, right? They will likely say reject in April. So that's why usually around April 10, April 9 deadline, that's the movement that's going to happen. So if you are in the waitlist and you're trying to fight for spots, make sure you get in all your communications with the schools before the end of March. I would say that's the safest. Okay. Um, so how do you get off the waitlist, right? Waitlist is not just one queue, right? A lot of people ask, "Oh, do you know where am I in the waitlist?" I can always say, "Okay, you are very close," but there's no technical number one, number two, number three for the entire wait pool. As we mentioned, right? Admission is contextual. So it depends on who rejected the offer. So let's say if my other student, right, he was applying to grade 9 boys, if he rejected the offer of XYZ school, the school will pull a grade 9 boy, maybe also from his region. So let's say if he's from China, right? So then the school will look at, okay, who is the grade 9 boy from China with a similar profile that I will pull from the wait list, right? And so if you are grade 9 girl waiting also from China, it doesn't, unfortunately, doesn't benefit you. Or if day student decide not to come back, right? But you are waiting in the as a boarding student, you're also not going to benefit. Uh, but on the other hand, right? Let's say just now we talk about every school need a good trumpet player, right? So let's say if the trumpet player rejected the offer, and maybe you are the next best trumpet player in the wait list, then maybe you will get an upgrade. So yeah, so it's like that. So it's not strictly rank. But I don't know how many people here also listened to our seminar last month. I think in last month we kind of talk about the whole admission process, right? How people get from the past the first round, second round, third round. So in general, that people get off the wait list, they are the ones that get kicked out in the final round. If you didn't in the admission office, the evaluation process, right? If you didn't get past the first, second round, to be honest, like your wait list is what we call a courtesy wait list. Oh, okay, that's another thing. I should have talked about 2 minutes ago. So basically, you will see many wait lists. When I started working in this field 16 years ago, we see a lot more rejections. Now the schools don't like to reject people. They think it's too harsh. And so now it's so difficult to read the admission result letter. Because before they would just say admit, waitlist, reject, right? Now they don't do that. Now like you can see admit, they don't say admit actually, they say congratulations, right? Welcome to class XYZ. And waitlist is easy. For sure there's a word wait. And then if you don't see admit, congratulations or wait, then you read through the whole letter. Usually they tell you like some sugar coated message, right? Say, oh, this year was very competitive. We enjoy reading your application, get to know you, but we are not able to offer you a place, right? Something like that. Or sometimes they don't even go into that. Just say it was difficult decision and blah blah blah. So yeah. So I think that's a interesting way to see how fragile this generation is in the eyes of the schools that they wouldn't even say the word reject or deny in their letter. But also, I want to say that the actual reject deny ratio has also gone down significantly. There are schools that don't even send out one single rejection letters. So some school they only do admit and waitlist. But technical, that's true, right? Everybody could be on the wait list, like they could have a 500 people wait list. So again, this would be helpful if you have a consultant, then the consultant can really tell you, right? A good consultant can tell you, okay, did you get in the first round, second round, third round? How likely you will be upgraded from the wait list and all that. But if you don't, then you are out of luck. And because if you email the school, they're not going to tell you. Okay, so you have to make the decision blindly. But yeah, so I was gonna say, so for example, keep on using him as an example. I hope he doesn't mind. So this kid that was admitted to his number 5 schools, right? So we know in the first 4, one of them really like him and he was on a very high wait list. The other 2 we know are courtesy wait lists. So that's why I think having that information is very helpful for you to make your subsequent decisions on April 10th. Oh yeah, that was this slide. Okay. So what family should do on a wait list? So first you need to accept the wait list. So there are people that keep on thinking that I'm on the wait list, but no, you don't automatically get on the wait list. There's a button you have to click, or there's a form you have to fill out, depending on the school, to stay on the wait list. And there are even schools that send out wait list questions every 10, 20 days. Like they keep on asking you, do you want to stay on the wait list? So wait list is something that you want to actively monitor and enroll in, not like passively be placed in. So to accept and actively keep yourself active on the wait list. And you want to send periodic updates. So similar to before March 10th, but as now you also want to send if there's like let's say have new competitions, new games, new things that you learn, new things you have experiment that you get interested with. Basically, any interesting things that you want to update the school about, awards or whatever, you want to send them updates maybe every 2 weeks, depending on when it is. Like I guess at least send 2 to 3 letters before April 10th in that 1 month. So show off your meaningful achievements if there's any, but don't harass the school every day. Like, don't email them every day am I getting off the wait list? Okay, that would not be good. All right. So if you finally come to a place when you're ready to accept an offer, there are a few things you need to review. So we're again to the administrative, again down to business, right? So one is the deposit terms. So because we don't hope that to be happen, but sometimes you might want to have a refund, right? Or what are the conditions that you can get a refund? What if for some medical condition that I suddenly am prevented to go to school, maybe need to defer 1 year, right? What if and the most important thing, most likely thing, right, is if you're waitlist in admitted to a school, but you waitlisted in another school, and you're so lucky to get pulled off the waitlist, but you already paid the deposit of the first school, then what is the deadline that you can say no and get a refund? But usually you don't get a refund for the deposit. I've say 99% of the time you don't get a refund for the deposit. Usually you get a refund for a deposit for situations that you cannot control. So for example, you get rejected of a visa, you couldn't go, right? Or for example, health reason, I think that's the most obvious one. Like some school, even under those extreme situations, don't give you a refund for deposit, but some schools do. So you want to read your terms carefully. And also, after the deposit, there will be also tuition payments. So some will be 2 payments, some will be three, some will be even 12 payments if you're local in the US domestic student. So you want to, I will say, if you are still waiting for another school on the waitlist, you want to defer your payment as much as possible, right? Don't pay all of it because if you back out, you might not get a refund. And also, as soon as you sign the contract and pay the deposit on April 10th, technically you have signed the contract. And if you read the fine print, most school contract will say that you are already, at that moment that you sign on April 10th, you're already liable for the entire years of tuition. So, and a very extreme case of my student. So they pay the deposit, and they not yet pay the other tuition payment. And then they change their mind. And guess what happened? The school billed them of the entire year's tuition. The school's argument is because this is your personal choice and this is something that you decide on yourself, not because of some for unforeseeable circumstances that you cannot change, right? So clearly you have a contract with me, you committed you're gonna come in, although you only pay the deposit, but you are already liable for the entire year's tuition. So yeah, uh, ended up they are able to have a discussion and come to a mutually satisfied result. But yeah, I think that's just something that you should read the contract, just the enrollment contract, just like any other contract. Well, you are not able to change it to be honest, because every school's enrollment contract is standard. They're not going to modify it for any one family. But at least you know what you are signing yourself into and what you're committing to the signing. Okay, so just to sum up a little bit, the common approach is you enroll in one school and then you stay on the wait list for the other schools and delay your payment as much as possible if you're in that situation. And stay in touch, stay active on the wait list and evaluate your chances of being upgraded. One reminder is late applications. There's still opportunities. So who will do lay applications, right? So two types, right? One is the the people that didn't apply in the first round, right? So let's say it happens every year. Like if a student that get into many schools have very happy results, and he will go back to the school and tell his classmate, "Hey, I'm going to Andover. Hey, I'm going to Cho, this wonderful school," right? And the friends, huh? right? This is the first time I heard about this school. And then they would tell them more about the school, and the kids like, oh, sounds wonderful. And then they go back to mommy, and mommy like, huh? Right? So then they finally decide to apply. That happens very commonly. So that's why every year we have a few students that will never heard about boarding school, or maybe heard about boarding school, didn't want to apply, but now decide to apply. So the latecomers. And the second type is, unfortunately, there are people that not get into one single school in the first round. So we've been quite lucky. All our students that have been following us for a long time do get into a school, and some of them get multiple offers. But yeah, every year there is, we always get calls this time of the year from random strangers, parents, desperate because they didn't get any admit in the first round and trying to find any consultant that can help them, right? So this can also work because you can apply to new schools, to the ones that you didn't apply before. So there's still opportunity. The school, once they're back from spring break, they will evaluate further applications. It depends on the school's policy. Some of the schools, they will only evaluate the application if they know they have a space for that grade, that gender, that category. But some school, they are quite big and they know some space will come up later, so they are happy to interview you and see, right? And even if you're a late applicant, as soon as you finish the application process, the interview, the typical procedure, then you are placed on the same waitlist as the people that apply in the first batch. So you are on an equal footing. So every year we do have some students that can kind of jump the queue, right? Because although they apply later than the ones that apply online on time, but they are outstanding and they are impressive. So the school actually will admit them instead of the other ones already in the waitlist. So that is something interesting that you can hear about. And also, on the other hand, school also are quite willing to admit those students because they know the ones that apply earlier, right, in the first batch, regular batch, the chances are they probably have committed to another school already. So if they pull that student from the wait pool and that student have to um, go back on their promise and commitment to another school, that's not good for either school, right? So sometimes they don't want to do that versus like, okay, a late applicant who is coming in fresh, right? No burden in that sense, right? Have not made any commitment to any other school. I enroll this fresh student, then it will be less collateral damage for everyone. Okay. So, oh, sorry, I jump and I talk about this slide already. So yeah, so that's it. We are very on time finally for one time. I'm able to finish on time in 40 minutes. So just to sum up, right? So admission result, don't take it personally. It's more like the whole class forming instead of just you. And how to navigate the waitlist dynamics because it could be quite complicated. And oh, I forgot to mention one thing. Revisit is very important. Every year we have students originally ranking the school this way, and then after the revisit, because they have a more in-depth understanding and experience of the school, the ranking and the preference of the family change. So they end up enrolled maybe in the number 2, number 3 schools instead of number 1, right? So it happens. So we highly encourage students to go to revisit day because if you're gonna spend the next 4 or 5 years in that school, it's worth your trip to pay that 1 or 2 day visit to make sure that you're making the right decision. And yes, opportunities do exist for late applicants. So that's that. If you're still staying on, just want to tell you a little bit more about Sesame. We do boarding school admission, we do university admission, and that's our website and our WhatsApp. And feel free to reach out if you have any questions or you want to talk to us. We're happy to do a free initial consultation.